so you can just wrap, you bring bales to it, you wrap them, unload, move them away. It's not going to create the caterpillar that ours does and move itself. You bring it out to the field, you detach it, and it looks like ideally you probably want a telehandler, because it'll unload the bale. You can put the next set of bales into the wrapper by reaching over the unloaded bale and then retract the telescopic boom and pick up the bale that got unloaded, moved it away, and go get another one. In real life, it's supposed to wrap 2 bales at a time. In Farm Sim, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Disturbed Simulations has said he's not overly interested in it wrapping 2 bales together. And I can understand that. He said he has a lot of grief with the Anderson snakes that are produced. And yeah, we've had that too, where they just don't behave themselves. And you can't really move them around. They're what they are. How's the Deutz is still going, 80%. Oh, we can see him over there. And that field looks to be... yeah, it's working on it. We'll probably have to do the top and bottom rows, end rows, just to tidy up the field. But the worker should be fine doing that field over there. So as I've said before, I'm doing alternate rows. This is a big tractor. It's going to struggle to do adjacent rows and not miss anything at the ends of each row. So we'll do alternate rows going up, we'll do alternate rows coming back down again. And still, this is much quicker than our old batwing rake and what have you. I'm keeping the batwing because it mulches, so we may just convert it totally over to mulching and not bother resetting it back to mowing. We do need the rake because if we're doing hay, we're going to turn the swather off here and ted the grass, and then we'll need to rake it. So that's still going to be a thing for when we're doing hay, although I think primarily most of our hay contracts are going to be most of our hay will come from hay contracts. Now the other consideration I have is, since the 458 horsepower 458 horsepower of this tractor is not sufficient to run this while driving uphill, we're going to need a bigger tractor. A significantly bigger tractor. I may look at a Zarian 5000, but that's about $500,000, so it's going to be a while before we can afford a hulking beast like that. But it might be a fun tractor to have on the farm just because it's big and fun. and it's not a 4-track. The other sort of tractors I might be interested in is not in what we already have. Potentially something like this, although again 400 we're going to be looking for a 900 Vario. 431 we're not going to be looking at one of those. The MT700 not going to be looking at one of those. Because the problem with, I don't like the articulated tractors. Fendt Vario 1100 can, yes, base model is 511, so something like that, again, articulated tractors. This thing runs up to 517, so potential, that is way too small. And that is way too small, so possibly this will go up to 530, and it's not an articulated frame, it's a 4-wheel steer, and I kind of like 4-wheel steers over an articulated frame. It's very unrealistic of Farm Sim and what they need to fix. What, the inability of my 400 horsepower tractor to operate a 270 horsepower poop wagon. Kind of yes, but when you look at some of the hills I'm trying to drive it up and down, yeah. This field not too bad. I was doing, pull up the map. The field next to the store, which is this field here, which is low at this end, low at this end, and very high in the middle. You can, I mean, the hill is obvious. It's worse than from here down to the yard. Might be the same, but I ended up having to go from the middle of the field down and then back up to the middle of the field and down the other side, because the tractor just could not haul it. And you're talking 35,000 litres of manure, which probably has quite a significant weight behind it. That field over there, is that canola field, where our old house used to be? That has a horrible slope going up to the top where the dairy is. I doubt we could run the manure spreader up that field very easily. Down it is not a problem. Up is just painful, and it's an issue we have had since Farming Sim 17. Lawfolds had the lower pasture was incredibly steep, which is why with a set of mowers like this, we were running a 395 horsepower tractor to stay at speed going up and down the hills. I'm not sure if it's the hills or if it's, well, it's a combination of the gradient of the hill plus the power the mowers are using. But for the most part, if you seriously overspecify your tractor, which I've been in a habit of doing anyway, you don't tend to notice significantly too much in the way of slowdown. Now we did 200 horsepower is not enough to pull our smallest grain cart up the hill to the dairy, and that is quite a steep hill. 247 horsepower is sufficient. So there seems to be a sweet spot. You hit the sweet spot and all of a sudden you can power up a hill without any problems. But if you're under that sweet spot, there does seem to be a huge performance issue. Back in Farm Sim 19, Ungertsheim, we had a little Zitor that had about 97 horsepower and a cultivator that needed 30. And it wasn't a dig it into the ground cultivator, it was a harrow. Probably something. Not a power harrow. Not a power harrow. Go back. Harrows. It wasn't even a disc harrow, it was sort of a drag harrow. There used to be almost like that. It was a harrow that was just a couple of chains and dragged across the surface of the ground to break it up. And our 90 horsepower tractor could not haul that thing to save its life. And we just had, it was 2-wheel drive, regular tyres. And it was traction issue. The wheels were spinning, we weren't going anywhere. And I ended up swapping it out to wide tyres, wheel weights on the back. Couldn't do anything on the front because we didn't have a front PTO. Also, we didn't have front wheel drive, so putting more weight on the steering wheels doesn't give you more traction, surprisingly. But putting the wide tyres on it just completely transformed that tractor's capabilities and allowed us to pull the harrow that supposedly only needed 30 horsepower. Oh well. But yeah, there is a thing in Farm Sim physics where just sometimes things don't quite add up. But I don't know what the solution is. It's a complicated thing for programmers to work out because it is a function of do I have the power? Are my wheels moving but I'm slipping? In which case it's traction. I need more rubber. I need wheel weights on the back. I might need a weight on the front. Or more tires, you know, two wheels, 3 wheels, just to get sufficient traction to move the thing. And then the other thing is the horsepower. Where the wheels aren't slipping, we're just crawling up the hill at 1 mile an hour. And you know, I could say at least it's modelled. It might not be modelled the best. You know, you look at it and say, okay, look, this tractor, 400 and whatever it is horsepower, should be able to haul a 35,000 litre manure truck up a hill with the PTO running and spread manure. The problem is the speed just drops to 1 mile an hour and we just end up pouring more manure on the ground than is actually needed at any point. So that's our problem. But it was on sale, so we make it work. And we've had this in the past. What was it? Ravensport. We did a multiplayer with Arthur on Ravensport, and we had a big seeder and a small tractor to run it on, and all I ended up doing was driving the small tractor up the hill, turning the seeder on and driving, you know, under power all the way back down. So we would be power down, drive back up to this end, seed going down, and yeah, we got the job done. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't the most efficient, but you can actually, we will go this side of these bales because I don't think I'm going to get the mowers through it. Now, I could turn the mowers off and raise them, but then actually we could do that. Not the rear selected. Because we're on cruise control, we're only cruising at 10 miles an hour, so the baler will keep up with us. It's just, I was thinking if I turn the mowers off, we're going to go racing away and leave the baler behind, and I would have to jump out and turn it off and do the worker thing again. We've got all the time. It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning game time. And we are absolutely fine here. As I said, we've used 30% of our seeds. I don't think the Deutz is much over halfway through the field yet. And we will run down over here and at least get mowed all the bits that we missed. These bales here interfered with us joining the row. So a couple of small tufts of grass. The baler may or may not pick them up. And then over here for the rest of this bit. Whee! Alright, now we can roll that up. So, first use of our Kubota mower set. Actually, you know what I should consider? Let's have a look to see if there's a contract in field 53. Well, not really. No worries. I'm going to leave that down there. So the cows still not producing any milk. So I am thinking, who are the most valuable cows? These boys here are 19 months old. I think we actually have to wait till reproduction hits 100% before they start producing milk again, which is a little bit of an annoyance because they are eating an absolute ton of food. 266. So I'm going to park this over here. We can drop the cruise, the thing. What is that thing? GPS thing. I'll wind up the speed limit. Oh, don't go racing off. I just want the cruise control increased to maximum. That's fine. Turn the engine off and we can jump out. So yeah, as you can see, lots of manure gone. And we will take over here and go and gather the remaining. We don't really have an awful lot of grass in the baler, so may not end up making any more bales here. But that's reasonably okay. So I think it was Disturbed Simulations was saying it's actually good to, he doesn't use a conditioner on his mower, so he always goes around and teds the grass one level to make it conditioned. And he pointed out that Tom Pemberton does much the same. All of their silage grass, they will go out, they will mow it, and they will ted it before they collect it and stick it in the in the silage clamp. So all of his silage is conditioned grass, or at least dried out. Obviously, yeah, conditioned grass is a technical term for maize plus. But you end up making more volume in your bales if you dry it out a bit, which is probably a good thing. I personally haven't tested how much grass do you get out of a baler if it's unconditioned, conditioned, or whatever it is, wet, slightly dry, more dry, hay. But since our goal here is to keep the bales as big as possible, so they're less of an issue trying to ship them off to wherever we end up selling them, I just like the idea of having the biggest bales possible. Now on that front, I am keeping the round baler. I'm probably keeping the round bale pickup thing, because we can transport 2480 centimetre bales. And when we're taking stuff to market, that's kind of the ideal for us, because it's a long trip to both the animal dealer and the BGA, which is where we're able to sell at least silage bales. So if I can ship the most product in the least number of trips, I'm a happy bunny. However, we do now have the hybrid extractor, which we picked up in a sale, which is capable of wrapping square bales. So that could be a thing we look at not too far down the line, is to maybe get a square baler. Again, we'll probably do whole crop silage square, because we're not shipping that all the way across the map to sell. That is purely going to feed the beasties, the cows. So keeping the bales on the farm and just loading them as square bales are bigger than round balers, or the biggest square bales are bigger than round bales, so it just kind of makes sense to do that. Not sure about straw. And not sure about hay either. Anyway, we really didn't make much extra stuff there. And we do have a round bale shredder, so any hay we keep is going to need to be, any straw we keep is going to need to be round, at least for now. And we also don't have a square bale carrier. We could stack square bales on the Roland. That's not too much of a big deal. Oh, I think that's got away from me. Yeah. Turn the wheels the right way, it might not get away from me again. There we go. go haul the extractor out of the shed. And unfortunately, getting that ready is not going to be as easy. Well, so it needs to go in here this way round, which is fine. This bunker is big enough to get this out. Oh yeah. And I'll go park this over here. Oh, nice working keyboard. So much more useful. And is it R? No, R is unload. That is unpack. Try and get it as close to the edge as possible. So we can turn that off. And there we go. And that's the mowering done. So one option I do have, while we're talking about contracts, is you can turn on lazy farmers. So I can say, yes, I want lazy farmers. And I want them lazy for fertilizing, sowing, harvesting. I don't care about weeding, I don't care about ploughing and cultivating because I don't have ploughs and cultivators. Higher difficulty activated. If active, all active contracts must be completed by the end of the month. So there's that. Or you get a penalty and unlock borrowing equipment. You have to do 2 successful contracts before a farmer will lend you their own equipment. There is a deadline there. Field purchase discount, I could activate that, which means if I do work on a field, I will get a 5% discount every time I do a job on that field, up to 5 times. That's kind of like FS17 used to work, where you could run up a discount on purchasing the field by activating a gain favor with the on. It was automatic. There was no activation. It was just you gained favor with an NPC farmer for doing work on his field. You got a discount on that field if you wanted to buy it. I'm not going to turn that on because we have variable field pricing in play. So I think